You're listening to the Talking Wolves fans' reactions for the 24-25 Premier League season.
It's finished. Brighton 2, Wolves 2. And boy, did we need that second half performance from the lads today. First half, we started as a 5. Saar back in goal. I mean, we're all screaming. Well, most people are screaming for him to be in net. And then he puts another clanger of a kick straight to them. But let's focus on the positives of today. First half, I don't want to dwell on it too much because I feel like we're backs to the wall. Yes, we defended well and one lapse of concentration and they've scored a goal. I think the lads did well to basically stay in the game in the first half. I just feel like we really struggled with an out ball. It was crying for a bit of pace up front and kind of just spinning in behind and taking the game to him a little bit because we were really, really struggling. But second half, he makes the changes and I am first to admit it. I was slaughtering him at half time when I saw Sarabia come out. But he has made me eat my words massively today. I thought Sarabia was brilliant second half. Absolutely brilliant. And he made the changes and it was more direct and we were well in the game. And another lapse in concentration for their second goal. You know, we pass it straight back to them and it's 2 passes in the back of the net. It's unlucky from Doyle because it goes under his legs. And you think, Christ, this game over. 2-0, another loss on the board. And that would have probably been it for him, I think, because the performance today hasn't been fantastic. But the lads showed a load of fucking bollocks today. And that's what it needs to stay in this league. It bollocks. Tommy Doyle is awesome. Along with Santi Bueno, who I thought was awesome. And you've got players who can drag you out of the shit, like Cunha, and how Ait Nouri dragged us out, how Dorsus dragged us out. They're dragging us out of the shit, and that's what we need today. And that is a massive point on the road, especially with the next 2 games that we've got coming up in Palace and Southampton. I think that result will kickstart our season, and I really hope it does, because we needed that today. You could tell the frustration from the fans. You could tell it just looked like it was another day where Wolves weren't going to get any points, and you can tell from the limbs in the away end for Cunha's goal how much that meant to us, how much that meant to us as a fan base. So yeah, happy with that. The performance was okay. Second half, much better. Can we play a 4? Can't we play a 4? It's hard to say, because I feel like at the start of games we're not good enough to play as a 4 because of the fullbacks not being the best on their own. But going forward, we actually look frightening, so which is great to see. But you've just got to find that balance between that and defending, which I think we're struggling with at the moment. So it's hard to say whether he'll stick with a 5 or he'll go and revert back to the 4. The goalkeeping position for me is back up as well. Yes, Saar makes great saves, but he's got a clanger in him. So yeah, but let's focus on the positive, which is getting a point away at a tough ground. We look dead and buried, and we've managed to clamber back and get a point. So yeah, happy with that. We move on to Palace next week, which is a huge game, and hopefully we can pick up our first win of the season there. Cheers on me on, lads. See you next week.
Hello everyone, Liam Berry here. It's to talk about Brighton 2, Wolves 2. At the 85th minute, I definitely didn't think I'd be making this video as calm as I am. I was preparing my notes. I was going, oh, I'm going to say this, I'm going to slander this person, but no, we managed to get a draw. It's a good point. It's a really good point. But for me, this result has given O'Neill just a little bit more time. Throughout the whole game, I just didn't see anything. There was no evidence for me to think, right, O'Neill is the man to get us out of the situation that we're in at the minute. There was no confidence. There was no system, especially in the first half. we were just sitting back and we weren't really getting forward as much. Obviously, Doyle had that chance in the first half. He should be scoring that with his track record, with the goals he scored for us. He scored a good goal against them a month back. So the fact he's used to playing on the ground and he's used to scoring on the ground. So the fact he missed that was a bit weird. But that's just one part of the game for me. There was no system, there was no style, there was nothing really especially in the first half. I think second half we were a little bit better, but I was still convinced that we can't keep playing like this and expect to get results. And obviously O'Neill made the change at half time. I was surprisingly happy to see Sarabia coming on. I don't know why. I've not been his biggest fan over the years. But I was surprisingly happy because I think at this time we need players who could get on the ball, hold the ball, and use everybody around them. That's not me trying to say he had an outstanding game, because I don't think he really set the world alight, did he? But Carlos Forbes, really liked him. I thought he was good in the second half. He came on and straight away he put the ball through the defender's legs, and then we got in a position where I think Strand Larsen especially, he's not been used to being in that position with Wolves. So I think he kind of thought, what's going on here? And he didn't really know where to go. He didn't know where to run. He's used to just having balls lumped up to him, and he's trying to battle with the defenders. But we got in a good position with Forbes, and he just didn't know what to do. And I think a lot of the players are like that. We're better in situation. We're definitely better on the counter, but we can't break a team down as such. So yeah. That's another factor of why I think I've not really been convinced with the performance. Obviously, it's a really, really good point. Don't get me wrong. We know Brighton are near the top of the table, but I wasn't convinced with the performance. Another point which I put on Twitter. We have video evidence of João Gomez saying that he does not like playing and he doesn't feel like he's good at playing further up the pitch with his back to goal. So why we've got him playing right wing with Doyle and Lamina sitting, I don't understand. Just play three in the middle. Like, I don't know if it's to do with the structure or anything, but if that's the structure, we've got like 7 players on the bench who could literally play that position. We're playing João Gomez, who's a ball winner. He's one of those robust midfielders. We've got him playing practically on the last man. We don't need to. Like, we had to last season, when we had Lamina playing in striker. We really don't need to now. We've got the squad depth. It's either you play midfield 3 and you play that midfield 3, or you play a midfield 2, and you just got to put your big boy shoes on and choose 2 of the midfielders. It's a tough decision because we've got 4. We've got Lamina, Andre, João Gomez and Tommy Doyle, top quality midfielders that he's got to choose from. And fitting them in a system whilst keeping them all happy is obviously going to be difficult. But it's got to get to the point where you put your big boy shoes on, you either play 3 in the middle, or you play the system you want to play, and you play an actual player who can play right winger in that position. I think I've just said play and position about 20 times in like 20 seconds, but that's the type of situations that were really, really nagging at me throughout the game. And I definitely think O'Neill, he's probably not the manager to take us up the table, like to the top 10 as such. And to see whether he's the man to take us out of this mess is probably still yet to be seen. We've got 2 really important home games, which I think is well within our reach to win both of them. And I think if you win those 2, our situation becomes a lot more different. But against Palace and Southampton, those are the 2 games that are going to define whether O'Neill stays or gets the sack. But yeah, overall, it's a really good point. I wasn't really convinced on the performance, but I think it's really good to see that the players still have the fight to come back from 2-0 so late on as well, to get that point. But yeah, it's a good point overall.
Well, I was prepping for the worst in terms of a fans react video, with about 8 minutes on the clock. But football is funny, isn't it? The whole season we've had literally no luck really. Centre backs cutting into their weak foot and putting it into the top corner. Harvey Barnes cutting inside, putting it into the top corner. Many other things that haven't really gone our way during the course of the season that I can't think off the top of my head, but the ball just bounces back to Aït-Nouri off a corner, and then a deflection for the equaliser from Cunha. So, look, do I think we deserved a point out of the game? No, I thought we were absolutely horrific, especially in the first half. The first half was awful. I'm not really sure what the plan was, apart from sit and park the bus and maybe then hopefully go into half-time at 0-0. Not really sure what João Gomez's role was, because he sort of ended up on the wing at points, and that's not his game, and then he sort of aimlessly is putting in balls into the box on counter-attacks, which isn't really his game and he can't really do, so I'm not really sure why we're asking him to do that. When we made the double sub at half-time, I thought we were a lot better in the four at the back. I'm thinking, you know, maybe we can just be one of those hybrid teams that plays 5 when needed, to protect a lead, or if it's against very elite opposition, and then we can play a 4 when we feel like we can go for it a little bit more. And I felt like we took the wrong approach today, or Gary took the wrong approach today, playing 5 at the back and parking the bus at Brighton. They're there to be got at, you know, they're a great team. Obviously, they're in the top 6 for a reason at the moment, but they're not, you know, it's not Manchester City. We don't need to sit there and soak up pressure, because when we do that, we're obviously inviting them on to score goals, and they have the quality to do that. So I thought that was the wrong approach today, and it was a lot better in the second half, but I still felt like we didn't really threaten at all. You know, loads of possession, passing the ball around, you know, even creating some chances here and there, but I just never really thought that we lacked that killer instinct to put the ball in the back of the net, until we get a slice of luck on 2 occasions, really, going into the last 5 minutes of the game. And sometimes that's what football's about, and maybe that's just the spark that we need going into some really, really now winnable fixtures for us at home, where we really need to pick up wins rather than just a point, or worse, we don't win those games, we draw those games, or we even lose those games, in which case Gary's job is still in serious doubt. And it is still in serious doubt for me at the moment. I would prefer for him to go, because I don't think he's now the right man to lead us forward, really. Off the basis of what we've seen, his in-game management is not the best. His substitutions, although they were good today, his starting lineups have also not been perfect at points. So I would prefer him to go. I think there's still some good managers out there currently that are, you know, touting wanting a new job. Mourinho is begging basically for us to hire him. Potter's on Sky Sports basically begging for a new job as well, and been saying he's speaking to people. So for me, there's better options out there than Gary O'Neill at the moment. And this team is too good to sit back against teams like Brighton, and that are going to finish in the sort of 6th to 8th position. We can still go for those teams. That's where Hobbs and Gary O'Neill both thought that we were going to finish this season. So why are we then now playing 5-3-2 against those teams? I get confidence is low, but you know, you're not helping us at any point, really, and it feels like we need a bit of a freshen up. I'm obviously delighted with the point, don't get me wrong, but there's still a lot of cracks, and this is just papering over them.
So, what an end to a game that is. It finished Brighton 2, Wolves 2. Up until about the 85th minute, it was a classic Wolves performance this season. Kind of okay, had chances in the game, but never really threatened at all. I thought defensively we were okay, but then kind of the last five minutes plus stoppage time, we just kind of, I don't know, we just turned it up a gear or two. You know, we wanted it more, we took risks, and they paid off, which I think is something we need to do a lot. We should have done a lot more, just taking a risk. It can easily come off like it did today. But yeah, starting off with the starting 11, obviously it was Tommy Doyle in for Andre. Kind of beforehand, I probably would have rather dropped João Gomez. I think he was probably been the poorer out the midfield 3. Obviously, the midfield 3 haven't been setting the world alight, so you could have really dropped anyone. But it was Andre that was dropped. Tommy Doyle came in, Sarr kept his place, and again, yeah, I thought we was okay in that first half. Kind of probably one of the best chances that we had before we scored was that one, I think maybe 10 minutes in or something. Cunha does really well on the left hand side, puts a low ball in, and I don't know why, I don't know if it's just rushing it and he panics, but he forced to Tommy Doyle, and first time side foot just hits it straight over the bar, and from that position, you've got so much time to take a touch, but even from that position, you've got to hit the target at least. And again, that was probably the biggest chance of the game. And then moments in that first half, it was okay, but the whole possession was Brighton. It kind of we kept them at bay for a bit, which was good, and we limited them to balls over the top or playing it wide to Matoma. But again, I thought Semedo up against Matoma kept him quiet all game. Really, I thought again it was another really good performance from Semedo, and I think this formation and the five at the back really helps him. But yeah, then it's just mistakes, just for both of their goals. The first one, we just so well, 45th minute, saw, I don't know what, some sidewinder thing, force their player, plays it through to Danny Welbeck, easy finish, and the second one as well. Again, it's a good finish from Evan Ferguson, but it's just a mistake and bobbling around, and it's 2-0, and you think that's it, 2-0. Really under some pressure now, Gary O'Neill, but then we just kind of turn it on. Again, a bit of fortune, how it falls to Nori for our first goal, just smashes it in. And then, again, he was about 4-on-1. Doyle somehow wins it, plays a really nice ball to Cunha. And then, again, we got that little bit of luck that we needed. I thought he slowed it down a bit too quick, but he got the shot away. I think he might have deflected off one of their players, hit the bar and went in. And then that was it, really. I think, again, it's a really good performance. Again, not perfect, not great by a long stretch, but you know that's a bit of motivation now going into these next two games, which are must win. If not, then I think Gary O'Neill's really under some pressure, but a good result, some good performances, and hopefully we can kick on.
Thanks for joining me on Saturday, the 26th of October 2024, where it's finished. Brighton and Hove Albion 2, Wolverhampton Wanderers 2. We still await our first clean sheet for the first time in ages, and the first thing I note that Johnston was probably fit, but Sarr continued in goal. Not surprising after his performance last week. Does that indicate that he's now regained his number one status? We don't know. And another thing to notice is that we started with 5 at the back again, same as against Man City last week, and also that Doyle came in instead of Andre, because I think that João Gomez and Andre are the same player. So if Doyle's going to come in, which he needed to, I think that he was going to come in at the expense of one of those two, because they're both very defensive midfielders, and we need somebody to take the weight off the defence if we've got one of them, and then to take the ball forward, which Doyle does. And it was Doyle, incidentally or ironically, who had the first chance after about 8 minutes, where a good run by Nori down the wing, and he blazed over. And after 12 minutes, Welbeck, who proved to be a thorn in our side with his goal later, but he had their first chance and he headed over. And Nelson Semedo, in recent seasons, that Mitoma has been his nemesis, because a couple of seasons ago Semedo got sent off against him, almost exactly 2 years ago. And last season, a game I was at the Molineux, the first home game, we lost 4-1, and Mitoma scored a wonder goal, and he ran rings around Semedo that day, but Semedo played quite well against him today. And well, that was good to see. But Santi Bueno, I thought that he was arguably our best player today. He didn't put a foot wrong, and he added some steel to the defence. And also Dawson won most of the set pieces where we've been vulnerable in the first few games, where we've conceded many corners and set pieces, but Dawson won everything in the air, as he did against Man City last week. But the goal, we couldn't quite see it out to half time, which was disappointing. It was just before half time that it was a poor kick out by Sarr. This has been one of the criticisms aimed at him over the years. He's been pretty good, shot stopper, pretty good with his hands, but at his feet, with his kicking, he's been a liability, and so it proved again today, because his poor kick out went straight to their player, who on our defence they couldn't regather. Defence was scrambled, and their player kicked the ball, Rutter I think it was, kicked the ball to Welbeck through, split the defence, and he tucked it away just before half time. A real sickener, because we'd been pretty competitive, although it was about 40% of possession in their favour. They didn't really carve us open or look like scoring, and they're 13 shots to our 3 in the first half. But even though that the statistics say that, it was pretty even, and we didn't really look like conceding before the goal. So we went in half time down 1-0, but the second half he made 2 early substitutions, Sarabia and Forbes on for Lamina and Totti, which probably indicates that he switched to 4-4-2. But Larson had a header from a corner on 52 minutes. Gomez was hauled back, João Gomez, after a good break, and it led to a booking on their player. We were pushing for the equaliser without carving them up. There was a careless back pass by somebody just by the halfway line, and it put us under pressure. Welbeck was almost through on goal, but Santi Bueno and Ait Nouri crowded him out. Cunha shot wide following a break on 65, and Welbeck off and Ferguson on 72, and it was Ferguson who scored the second goal, and we thought that was game over, because 82 minutes, 2-0 down away from home, bottom of the league with our run of form, it looked like game over. But we showed a lot of character. 87 minutes, Ait Nouri got a goal from a corner after Dawson tried like a little cheeky bicycle kick, but thankfully it broke to him, and it's about his 4th goal of the season, which is his 2nd highest scorer. And 90 minutes, Guedes on, and it was Cunha. I just popped to the loo and I missed the goal, and but when I came back, I was delighted to see that Cunha had put the ball away. I think that's his 5th goal of the season, and that's a decent point against a team that we've had trouble against.